The year is 1978. The rain in Los Angeles never just falls. It schemes, washing the neon glow of the city down the gutters like spilled secrets. I'm Detective Frank Miller, LAPD, and my world is usually painted in shades of gray, not the blood red that's been coloring my caseload lately. It all started with a phone call from a frantic projectionist down at the Orpheum Theater. A routine screening of a B-movie horror flick called The Celluloid Curse had ended with a dead body in the front row. The victim? A local film critic named Alastair Finch. The cause of death? The coroner called it a heart attack, but his face was frozen in a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. Something wasn't right. The projectionist, a jumpy kid named Leo, handed me the film reel. It felt cold to the touch, unnaturally so. He swore the movie itself was the killer. Said every time it played, something bad happened. A fire in the projection booth last month, a usher falling down the stairs the week before. Now a dead critic. He told me Finch had been laughing at the film just before he died, calling it schlock. It seemed the film didn't appreciate the criticism. I took the reel back to the precinct, labeling it Exhibit A in what was quickly becoming the weirdest case of my career. My partner, Detective Evans, a man who believed only in what he could see and punch, just scoffed. A killer movie, Frank? You've been hitting the bottle a little early today? I couldn't blame him. It sounded insane. But I couldn't shake the feeling, the cold dread that seemed to emanate from that canister. That night, I decided to do some digging. I found old newspaper clippings about the film's production. It was a low-budget affair shot in the late 60s by an obscure director named Silas Blackwood. The articles were strange. They mentioned accidents on set, cast members disappearing, and whispers of Blackwood dabbling in occult rituals to make his film feel more authentic. The most disturbing story was about the lead actress, a rising starlet named Isabella Monet. She vanished without a trace just before the final scene was shot. The film was shelved, considered incomplete and cursed. It had only recently resurfaced, acquired by a collector who saw it as a piece of forgotten cinema history. That collector, I found out, was Alastair Finch. He hadn't just been reviewing the movie. He'd been planning to restore and re-release it. It seemed his ambition had cost him his life. The next day, I visited Silas Blackwood's last known address, a dilapidated mansion in the Hollywood Hills that looked like it had been pulled straight from one of his horror films. The place was abandoned, covered in dust and cobwebs. In his study, I found journals filled with arcane symbols and frantic scribblings. He wrote about capturing true fear on celluloid. He wasn't just making a movie. He was trying to trap an entity, a spirit of terror, within the film itself. He believed Isabella Monet was the final sacrifice needed to complete his ritual, her genuine fear binding the entity to the real. The film wasn't just cursed, it was a cage, and every time it was played, the entity inside reached out, feeding on the fear of the audience. Armed with this insane theory, I knew I had to see the film for myself. Against Evans' protests and my own better judgment, I set up a private screening at the precinct's evidence lab. The projector whirred to life, and the grainy black and white images of the celluloid curse flickered on the screen. The acting was hammy, the effects were cheap, but there was an undercurrent of genuine dread. Then I saw her, Isabella Monet. Her eyes, wide with a terror that no actor could fake, seemed to stare right through the screen, right at me. The air in the room grew cold. The projector began to rattle violently. The film's audio distorted into a low, guttural growl that vibrated through my bones. Shadows in the corners of the room deepened, twisting into unnatural shapes. I felt a pressure in my chest, a primal fear that threatened to stop my heart, just like it had stopped Alistair Finch's. I saw his face frozen in terror, and I knew I was next. The entity was reaching out. It wanted to feed. With trembling hands, I lunged for the projector and shut it off, plunging the room into darkness, silence. The only sound was my own ragged breathing. The oppressive presence was gone, for now. Evans, who had been standing guard outside, burst in. He took one look at my pale face and the frost on the projector lens and didn't say a word. For the first time, I think he believed me. We knew we couldn't just destroy the film. Blackwood's journals hinted that destroying the reel might release the entity permanently. We had to find a way to contain it, to finish what Blackwood started, but in reverse. I found a passage in his notes about a final frame, a sealing ritual that required a specific incantation and a symbol to be etched onto the last piece of celluloid. It was a long shot, a crazy gamble based on the ramblings of a madman, but it was the only shot we had. I wasn't going to let this thing claim another victim. We returned to the Orpheum Theater late that night, the film reel feeling heavier than ever. We loaded it onto the main projector, the one where Alistair Finch had met his end. Evans stood by with a fire extinguisher, his face grim. "Just tell me when, Frank," he said. I took a deep breath and started the projector. The film began, and instantly the theater grew cold. The whispers started swirling around us. On screen, Isabella Monet's terrified face appeared. The lights flickered. The entity was fighting back, its power amplified in this space. I waited, my heart pounding, as the film neared its end, the final unexposed frames rattling through the gate. "Now, Evans!" I shouted. He hit the power. The projector stopped on the last blank frame. I rushed forward, a small engraving tool clutched in my sweaty palm. The whispers grew to a roar, an invisible force pushing against me. I could feel the entity's rage, its desperation. I ignored it, focusing on the symbol from Blackwood's journal. I etched it into the celluloid, my hands shaking but my will firm. As the final line of the symbol was completed, a blinding flash of light erupted from the projector, followed by a deafening shriek that seemed to tear through the fabric of reality. And then silence, a profound, peaceful silence. The cold dissipated, replaced by the musty warmth of the old theater. The oppressive feeling was gone. I looked at the film reel. It just looked like a reel of film now. The coldness was gone. It felt inert, empty. We had done it. We had sealed the curse. We locked the film in a lead-lined evidence box and buried it in the deepest, most forgotten corner of the LAPD archives. There's no official record of the case. It's just another ghost story told by old cops. But I know the truth. Sometimes the monsters are real, and sometimes they live on film, waiting for their next audience. I still get a chill whenever I see the flicker of a projector. It's a reminder that some things should stay in the dark. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Tales from the Shadows.